My name is Omar de la Riva. I am a community resident since 1990. I attended Jefferson Elementary, McFadden Intermediate, and Saddleback High School, and I've worked in Santa Ana since graduating college. So I've been here for the last almost 25 years.
What makes you feel safe in your neighborhood in Santana?
What makes me feel safe in my neighborhood is knowing who my neighbors are. For example, being able to drive or walk down the street and knowing that I have a personal connection with my neighbors. And also having, in addition to that, knowing that my neighbors are, I guess, are economically secure. If I knew that my neighbors are economically secure, and however that's going to look, whether they have good stable jobs or well-paying jobs, then that would also make me feel safe in my neighborhood, because I know then it would be way less likely for me to be the victim of a crime, like someone breaking into my house or something. That, and also I think the ability for children to play safely in my neighborhood, when cars are speeding and when cars are coming through at high speeds, and I worry for them, but I would also worry for me because I could be out there crossing the street. That, and then lastly, just like having a sense of neighborhood and community, which my neighborhood doesn't, but just having that extra sense of kind of more togetherness would make my neighborhood feel more safe in Santa Ana.
What makes you feel unsafe in your neighborhood?
I think there's very few times where I feel unsafe, but one would be when I know that the police are looking for somebody or chasing somebody, and you hear the helicopter above, and it makes me feel nervous, because there's been a couple times where people that are being chased by the police jump into our yard. It's happened about 3 times in the last 5 years. So that makes me think how we've been lucky that those people didn't do anything to us, or that it wasn't a bigger problem. But also when I hear that and I know they're looking for somebody, I know people get desperate and they start jumping into neighborhoods. To like our backyard or different places. And what doesn't make me feel safe also is when some of the youth are there's some youth in my neighborhood who I know don't go to school anymore. They're between the ages of 14 and 17, so they're not going to school. They're out there doing drugs. They're out there doing things like that. So I think being able to reach out to them as a community or a neighborhood would also be good, but that's something that we don't do. And it makes me feel unsafe because they're just out there all day, and I don't know what they're doing. Sometimes they act a little bit aggressive towards me or like other people in our neighborhood. So that's something that sometimes makes me feel unsafe.
How do you feel about police officers in Santana Ana?
Well, I feel 2 very different things. One is that the interactions that I've had with the Santa Ana Police Department have been positive for the most part. And by positive, I mean they were respectful. They treated me with, respect and dignity. I think there's 2 reasons for that. One is I think that I'm able to defend myself or speak clearly as to what I need, or like what I intend to do with them. I also think that I do everything. For example, when getting pulled over, doing everything that's going to make them feel safe, so they don't have a reason for them to do anything to me, like pull out their gun or whatever, right, or threatening me. The other last thing too is my last name de la Riva, and my uncle was he was a lieutenant in the Santa Ana Police Department, and he retired a few years ago. So this is just pure conjecture, but I think maybe sometimes that was one of the reasons that in all the interactions I had with police, they were never like that. However, what I have seen with police is how they deal with other people. And while it hasn't happened to me, I've seen it numerous times, and this is including Santa Ana Police Department or SAU as the police, where they treat people in a very rude and negative way, kind of talking down to them. I think the school police in Santa Ana is especially bad, talking to students like if they were nothing, not showing them any respect. I've heard some school officers calling girls sluts, or patting down students in the middle of the quad, things like that. Being just very overly aggressive. One of the things that I'll never forget was the seizures from high school that happened. The seizures from high school graduation that happened in 2014. where the graduation was over and people were outside celebrating and kind of having a good time, and the police were out there just yelling at everybody with their batons, telling them to leave, saying things like, I don't care where you go, but just get out of here. And I just thought that was a very fucked up thing to say when your kids are graduating, or your youth or your family's graduating and achieving this great accomplishment in their lives, and you have police not letting you take a picture with your family because whatever the reason. I think there was another graduation that had to happen, but I don't understand why that's the community's fault that they didn't plan it properly and they were using this very overly aggressive tactic. I've also seen police pulling other people over and being aggressive, being demeaning because they can't speak English, because the people they're pulling over can't speak English. So I have mixed feelings about the police here in Santa Ana.
How do you think safety can be improved in your neighborhood?
I think, like I said earlier, I think having a sense of community or neighborhood would be the most important thing. That's something that my neighborhood definitely doesn't have. We know our neighbors in front of us and to the side, but down 2 or 3 or 4 streets, houses, I don't know who they are. So having that, I think it'd be cool for the city or even just residents to be able to get together and plan social events in the neighborhoods. Like I've seen a lot of neighborhoods in Santa that have block parties during the summer, and I think that's a very great way to get together and have something like that. I also think that obviously having an economically viable community would be really important to create safety and security in our neighborhoods. And lastly, I think that the police also need to take a hand in doing that. Obviously, they have their agenda that they need to do, but it's funny that you asked this question because just yesterday, no, it wasn't yesterday, it might have been Saturday afternoon, they were chasing somebody on the street, and so the car going down my street was going at about 50 miles an hour, but the police, like 4 cars deep, were going 50 miles an hour as well. And I was thinking that, who knows, I don't know why that person was being chased, but I was thinking, what if that person is being chased over a low-level drug offense or whatever, right? And the very fact that he ran away, I think the police see that as a threat or something that they need to respond with great force. So let's just say that it was in a very violent or very dangerous situation. He was going down our street. Well, then now you have 4 or 5 police cars going down our street going 50 miles an hour too, where little kids play with the girls in our neighborhood like to play with their bikes outside, and I just would want to know why. I just would want to know why that warranted such dangerous behavior for the police in our neighborhood. So that's another thing too, that for the police to respect our community and our neighborhoods as well, even in situations like that, should be important.